Hi, I'm Dolly Singh, student of BA Pol Science Honours, and today I'm gonna make this video or presentation on the topic secularism and major debates on secularism. And I will cover topics like what is secularism, Indian constitution and secularism, features of secularism, and at last, debate on secularism in India. First of all, what is secularism? Secularism refers to the separation of religion from the state. Secularism allows its citizens to freely and fearlessly profess and practice their respective faith, and secular state doesn't interfere with the religious and spiritual affairs of its citizens. It also stands for equal opportunities for followers of all religion and no discrimination or partiality on the basis of religion. The term secularism is akin to the Vedic concept of dharma-nirpekshata. This model of secularism is adopted by Western societies, where the religion is totally separate from state. But the Indian philosophy of secularism is related to Sarv Dharm Sambhava, which means equal respect to all the religions. Indian secularists sought to achieve peaceful coexistence of different religions. Next topic is secularism and Indian Constitution. The preamble of Indian Constitution aimed to constitute India a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic. The terms socialist and secular were added to it by 42nd Amendment Act 1976. It emphasized the fact that constitutionally India is a secular country which has no state religion and it will respect all the religions. Next is there are various articles of the constitution which shows that India is a secular state. First of all, Article 14 and 15. Article 14 provides equality before law and equal protection of law to all the peoples, while Article 15 enlarges the concept of secularism to the widest possible extent by prohibiting discrimination on the basis of caste, religion, sex, gender, place of birth, race, etc. Next is Article 26. Article 26 includes freedom to manage religious affairs, and every religious denomination or any section thereof shall have the right to establish and maintain institutions for religious and charitable purposes, to manage its own affairs in matters of religion, to own and acquire movable and immovable properties, and to administer such properties in accordance with law. Next is Article 27. Article 27 includes that the state shall not compel any citizens to pay any kind of tax or for the promotion or maintenance of any particular religion or religious institutions. Article 28 allows educational institutions maintained by different religious groups to impart religious instructions. And Article 29 and 30. Article 29 and 30 provides cultural and educational rights to the minorities. And next is Article 51A. Article 51A includes fundamental duties, and all citizens are enjoined to consider their fundamental duty to preserve the rich heritage of our composite culture and to promote the harmony and spirit of brotherhood. Next topic is features of Indian secularism. Every citizen has the freedom to choose or practice their religious faith freely and fearlessly. The state can't discriminate on the basis of religion, caste, gender, place of birth, or another things. The state shall not compel, the state shall not make communal electorates, and the state can regulate economic activities related to religious affairs. The state can make social schemes for the welfare of the people. Every religious denomination has the right to form institutions for religious and charitable purposes. State gives right to religious minority to establish educational institutions of their own choice. These institutions can't be discriminated against by the state in relation to the grants given by the state. In the matter of the education or admission into educational institutions maintained by the state, it can't discriminate against citizens on the ground of their religion. The state cannot use public revenue to promote any religion. These are the features of Indian secularism, and our next topic is debate on secularism in India. First of all, secularism is a highly contested. It is contested because two different lines of understanding are competing for ideological denomination ever since independence and even before. One side of this understanding was Jawaharlal Nehru, who had a vision of separating religion and politics, manifesting in the concept of Dharm Nirpekshata. And another side of this debate was the Mahatma Gandhi, who rejected the idea of separation of religion and state and believed in the principle of equal respect to all the religion, manifesting in the concept of Sarv Dharm Sambhava. इसके next is the contest. This contest between these two different understanding of secularism was in debate in Constituent Assembly and later in academic circles and political life of young democratic India. First of all, debate in Constituent Assembly. K.T. Shah demanded separation of state from any religious activity. He even demanded separate article and word secularist to be included in the constitution, but failed to do so. Next is Tajammul Hussain and M. Masani, who also defined right to religious to mean practice religion privately and religious instructions to be given only at home. They were opposed to the idea of religious instructions imparted through educational institutions. On the other hand, of the debate were K.M. Munshi, Lakshmikant Maitre. K.M. Munshi was of the view that non-establishment clause of US Constitution was incorporated to Indian Constitution that creates a problem. Next is Jayaprakash Narayan, was of the view that the communal violence to take place when religion was used to serve socio-economic and political interest, and to prevent them, an article needed to be incorporated in constitution that prohibits the use of religious institutions for the political purposes. The Constituent Assembly Minority Subcommittee defined freedom of religion as freedom of conscience and right freely to profess, practice and propagate religion. This terminology was formally dissented by Amit Kaur, Jagjeevan Ram, J.B. Pant and B.R. Ambedkar. Next is academicians' debate on secularism. While one group of scholars tried to defend secularism, especially in the face of threat posed by increasing communal politics and religious strife, another group called for its re-examination, arguing that secularism may be the cause and not the solution of religious violence. Ashish Nandy calls himself as anti-secularist. He argues that ideology and politics of secularism has exhausted its possibilities in India. He locates the cause of new religious violence in secularism and modernity. A gift of Christianity and child of modernity and communalism, secularism is a product of Western science and rationality and function as the ideology of modern state, which according to Nandy is a source of most of the contemporary problems. Nandy suggests that idea of Akbar and Ashoka would be more accessible to the people rather than secularism. Nandy discusses two different meanings of word in modern India. The first meaning of secularism demarcate two distinct spheres of public life and private life, and one's religion is not admitted in public life. This ideology believes that public realm is dominated with vision of science and universal, and bringing religion may lead to potential threat to modern polity. Pitched against this is the non-Western meaning of secularism that believes in the principle of equal respect to all the religion. This version of secularism is compatible with Indian understanding of secularism, but India's westernized intellectuals have opted for abolition of religion from the public sphere. Nandy presents non-modern pre-secular conception of religion as accommodative, tolerant faith as an alternative to modern Western secularism. This version of secularism derives religious tolerance from Buddhism, Islam, and Hinduism respectively. This was practiced by Ashoka, Akbar, and Gandhi as well. For Gandhi, religious tolerance was not only tolerance of religion, but it also a tolerance that is religious, the root of which were in traditional Hinduism or Sanatan Dharma. And as a and Sanatani Hindu, Gandhi claimed to be a Muslim, Sikh, and Christian simultaneously. Thus Nandi suggests Gandhian path of interfaith dialogue. Next is T. N. Madan, who also criticized the idea of secularism, though not dismissed it absolutely. Madan argues that it was possible to private religion in Western because of their developments, whereas in South Asia, major religious traditions do not assume any radical antinomy between sacred and secular. Religion covers all aspects of life and its impact is totalizing in nature. Thus, it was impossible to restrict it to private domain. Religion gives meaning to lives of most of the people and also determines their place in society. Thus, to impose the secularism on believers is wrong, according to Madan. Religion and beliefs of people must be taken seriously and should be given its right place in society. As non-religious, because denial of legitimacy to religion in society of believers provokes fundamentalism on the part of religious zealots. Secularism and the religious faith must be recognized to be compatible with each other. The alternative conception in Madan's view is Gandhian because it has the possibility of inter-religious understanding. Next is Akhil Bilgrami, who also criticized Nehruan form of secularism but rejects Nandi's views as well. Bilgrami represented the model of negotiated and emergent secularism, which is based on moderate religious persons, embracing principle of secularism not on the basis of universalistic rationality but on their own internal value system. In Bilgrami's opinion, Nehruan secularists stand in a conceptual and political sphere that lies outside the sphere of substantive political commitments. Presence of different communities in state is important, and these communities could play a very important role in designing secular principles. Another is Parth Chatterjee. Parth Chatterjee is like Nandi and Madan is of the opinion that secularism is embedded within Western modernity and is problematic when applied to Indian context. According to Chatterjee, in the post-independent India, the model of secularism adopted by westernized elite implied exclusion of Indian alternative to Western secular modernity. It also introduced the direct involvement of state in religious matters. Chatterjee problematized implementation of secular principle in Indian reality. If secularism is interpreted as strict separation of religion and politics, this can prove fairly compatible with discrimination against minorities. Chatterjee is in favor of idea of political tolerance that incorporates autonomy and respect for person and accommodate different regions coming from different cultural and traditional institutions. Next is Neera. According to Neera, Indian version of secularism is rooted in the principle of Sarvadharma Sambhava, which require equal respect for all the religion. But it is problematic in multi-religious society when religious minorities are divided on the basis of majority and minority. Thus, Neera offers a normative theory of the minority rights based on shift from secularism to universal principle of moral equality. Next is Rajiv Bhargava. According to Bhargava, when the believers of different religions and non-believers have to live together, clash of their ultimate ideals is always imminent. A clash of such ideals may deprive people of leading an ordinary life. Since it is the task of state To secure a minimal decent existence for its citizens, all ultimate ideals must be expunged from the affairs of the state. Therefore, politics and religion have to be separated, and two domains have to keep a principal distance and respect each other's boundary. Bhargava discusses three variants of secularism. First is hypersubstantive secularism. This version of secularism separates religion and state with special reference to ultimate substantive values like autonomy, development, and region. Second is ultra procedural secularism. This version of secularism separates religion and state in the name of rational procedures, rules, bureaucratic and technocratic rationality. Third is contextual secularism. This version of secularism discusses principal distance between the state and religion. State excludes religion for some purposes. State exclude religion from some purposes and include it for some other purposes, but it is always guided by non-sectarian principle constituting set of value that incorporates equal dignity for all. Thus, these are the debate on Constituent Assembly and later on academic circles of young political life of young democratic India. Thank you.